I got to play. Hi, this is Jimmy Keys, bartender. Bringing the music down. We're stopping. Okay. We're here for Key Largo Christmas 2019.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry ho ho.
Yeah, it's the 17th. Since it's live, we can just say
Yes.
6:30, and there's probably only one person listening right now.
Live right now.
Yeah, they may get it or may not. So yeah, we got four people going now. At this time, we used to have.
We have the fourth mic.
Hello.
So there's Tyler. Oh,
And there's Hoagie.
And Hoagie.
Yep.
He doesn't have his own
So
microphone.
Papa Joe, Jenna, and Tyler, Jenna, Papa Joe, and Jim. So
Yeah, don't forget Jim.
Well, it hasn't been a show without Jim yet.
No.
So I don't even have to. I shouldn't even say my name ever.
You shouldn't even have to
Can you
introduce
slide
yourself.
that mixer a little more this way? Since I don't have a tall chair. Can we?
What?
There we go. Just enough to get it closer. I'm already up against the...
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
Yeah, it's okay.
Oh, maybe wait. I can.
Nope, we're good. We're good. No, you're good right there, Jim.
No, look, this is a 10-foot cord.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, we can change them.
Okay.
Switching mics.
Hi
Mic
there.
swap.
There we
Is
go.
that better?
Yeah.
Hey,
And-
don't yank my cord, please. Wait. Wait. Here we go.
No yanking
We're just gonna-
cords,
No,
man.
we're
All
getting
right,
there.
all right.
more.
I think
Look
we're
at
getting set
that.
up now.
No.
Now I can be comfortable.
All right.
Yeah,
And
no
welcome to
Yankee,
the
me
14th
wanky.
September.
The donger wants food now. You know that one?
No.
16 candles?
Yep. Automobile.
Grandfather automobile.
Big leg.
Big
Sploosh.
leg splash. Donger. What'd you do with grandfather's thing? Okay, no, it's Christmas. So I didn't plan anything at all today.
We're shooting from the hip today.
There was a lot of different things going on at work this week. I'm
Yeah.
sure the same thing for you and
I don't
Papa
work.
Joe. Okay, whatever. There's a lot of things. There's gifts to be got and
Yes.
Gifts
things
and-
to be
and-
done.
and things to do at the house.
We decided that Abby and I wanted to get each other a couple gifts that we both share, like a big screen television and a sofa. We got the big screen television, and with the limited understanding I have of, I have a decent understanding where I can do it without a tech person, and I did it. It takes a little longer, much like the podcast, but the hardware when you're mounting and all that stuff, and you're realizing, I thought, wow, I have a bracket on my other TV, and if I was a TV guy, I'd realize there's brackets that are good for 40-inch TVs to 55-inch TVs or 50-inch TVs, and there's brackets that are for 55 to 70-inch TVs
Yes.
and things like that. And I had a smaller TV, so the bracket that was on there I didn't have. And then I found out up close and personal about the limited scope of supplies and supply and demand in the Upper Keys.
Yep,
Yes.
it's horrible.
Amazon.
Well, no, I had one day
Yes.
to do it.
Yeah, because
so-
you get the brand new TV and you want to put it up that day.
No, I couldn't. Well, I couldn't. We got it on Sunday when I was working, and I work a double on Monday. So I was going to do Tuesday. And what I should have done, if I didn't know until I took the bracket off this morning that it wouldn't fit, and then I realized I'd have to, and if I ordered it, I wouldn't be able to do it till Thursday. And then everything starts piling up, and then it's coming up against Christmas. I got a Christmas party on Sunday.
Yeah.
The shit.
Your honey-do
I had
list
Tuesday. I had
expands.
Tuesday off to do it, so I decided to call every hardware store as soon as it opened. For hardware, it's hardware. A bracket is hardware. It is, but it's not essential to that. And then I thought, okay, I spoke to him. They said, well, try the Office Depot and Kmart. Well, Kmart, for several years, has looked like a place that was closing.
Yes.
Yep.
And I went in there today, and there was they always have a turnover of managers. They always have a new manager. They must bring someone through training school, and they immediately send them down to Key Largo because they had everyone with the pricing tools or the scanning things, and then the manager up front. And they were all talking. for at least 10, 12 minutes because I walked in, they're all sitting and talking, totally oblivious that I'm walking in there. And she's telling how she wants to give a really great customer service. It was kind of ironic. She's discussing to all the employees how they should deliver a great customer service experience to all their patrons that come in.
Hi, welcome.
As I walk through, and they totally ignore me.
Right.
I spend
Not great.
8-10 minutes looking around the places. I go back to the old TV department, electronics department, which you can see they're downsizing. I guess Kmart's are just existing now to sell off their existing stock.
I would think so.
They're shutting down more and more, but ours has no plan on shutting down.
No, they got bought.
Yeah.
The Kresge Corporation, they got bought, so they're quote unquote.
Kresge's still around. I remember that as a kid. I thought that going the way sides of Woolworths.
Or how about Zehrs?
I remember. Well, Zehrs is more a southern thing.
It was a southern thing, but
yeah, I do remember it.
Kmart's starting to look like Zehrs in the last couple of years, or Jefferson's.
Well, I go back to their electronics department where they used to have.
They have anything
25 computers. 25 TVs, some assorted electronics, cameras. 5 years ago, they had all that stuff. You can go in there and buy that. And now, as of yesterday, or today, this morning, they had a couple 40-inch TV, a 45-inch TV up there, and another TV mounted on the wall, and a stack of 32-inch flat screens, a stack of 5 or 6. And I go, as soon as I saw that, I go, there's no fucking way they have any brackets here. And I look around, they don't. They're starting to put their desk and all that, any other crap, there's furniture needs to be assembled.
Our electronics department has become mattress and appliance sales.
Yeah, there's like literally one washer and dryer on the floor.
Yeah.
And
like
a few
15
mattresses, some carpets.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
They're good. They have a
How many
good
cashiers
supply. They
were
have
there?
a great supply of grills.
How many cashiers were there?
Like I said, there was
2.
no cashiers up there.
Two?
It was 8,
That's
10
all they
minutes.
ever
No.
have.
There were 15 employees there.
But only 2 registers open.
No one was at the register because I didn't buy anything. I realized I'm not going to buy anything. I needed to buy other things, but I realized if you got to say hello once to get someone.
You gotta just call
then
the
I
place.
walked all the way back, and she's still talking about customer service when no one says, "Hey, can we help you find something?" And I'm like, "No, fuck it." So I called the Office Depot because I realized if I don't think they have it. And I said, they go, "Do you have TV?" And before I finished mounts, she said no. So shit, that was it. There was a couple electrical supply companies down here. There's a company around 103.
Yeah, right by the bridge on the ocean side. Yep.
But they're not retail.
No.
But I know the guy. I bet I could have bribed them, but they probably have the good. I know they do high end stuff.
They do the multi-million-dollar houses.
Yeah, and if I had to buy something like that,
speaker lights throughout the whole entire house,
$300 or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
when you can buy them out on Amazon
So
for
you had to
$25.
drive into Florida, did you not?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't. Now,
Did you go to Wally World?
I didn't go to Wally World. Oh, hi, folks. We're not open.
Or did you go to Best Buy?
Went to Best Buy.
There you go.
Oh, I would. I probably could have gotten a mount for $10, $15 cheaper if I went to Walmart.
It's not worth it.
But I went to Best Buy, and the guy helped me. I went over to him. He said, "Can I help you?" And then he walks me over to the thing. He says, "We have." I said, I need a non-adjustable one. And he goes, "Well, the non-adjustable is like $70, but we have a sale on our adjustable one. It's $49." And I go, "Well," and he goes, "Don't worry, it locks in place and stuff. It's just an inch or two further from the wall." And I go, "Oh, that's great. Okay, great." And he says, "I know. I had to go. It was literally 48-mile round trip in the heavily densely populated part of the United States, South Florida, to get a TV wall mount bracket." But I'll tell you, when that guy said that, when he was so helpful, I went off and said, "Man, you just made this whole trip worth it."
Yep.
Not just saying hello, telling me anything, getting me the stuff, signing me out, having me out the door in one minute.
Was he at Kmart earlier listening to the customer service?
I mean, it must have been because that guy was incredible. And I had this theory about Walmart and Kmart and places like that. Yeah, just the dynamics of it, right? You got Best Buy where you have, for the square footage, they have so much. They're
So much more than our Kmart does.
Well, not just that, dollar-wise, each unit, their average unit price of their items are so much higher, and the quality of service is better. So they have more. They have 2 people at the front desk for checkout and directing people, just for checkout and direct checkout. When I say checkout, just to let you go outside the door.
Verify you're taking what you
and they have registers on the left side front, right side front, and the back middle.
And when they get really busy, the customer service opens up, and they're another register.
Yeah, they go and do that. But you go to Walmart, and you can walk by and talk to people. And we were there on Sunday, and we wandered into the TV department. No one said anything to us. We looked around at TVs. We didn't know they didn't have the right labeling for each one, so you didn't know what you were looking at. They just had TVs mounted, and they didn't really have any decals saying what they were, except you can see obviously that's an LG, that's a Samsung that's on there. But what series is it? What, is it 2 years old? Is it 3 years old? How much it is? And Best Buy had all the ones. They had the best ones right out front, and all that stuff. The 1,500. They still have flat screens for $1,500, and they do.
Their best ones are on the wall.
They look really, really good. But then again, unless you have really, really excellent eyesight, I don't know. The one I did today, I went and got that and brought it back, and then I spent 2.5 hours working on the, the thing is trying to figure out how to put a bracket on a television that's not flat. The back of it isn't flat. You have to give you spacers for it and all that. So I kept on, I'm gaming it out in my head, not tightening them on too much. Say, this is it. I want it to be flat, steady, firm, and then finally work that out. That took 2 hours. And then I got the template, and I got the stud finder and all that stuff, and I'm putting it, and I'm thinking, trying to think, how high up do I want that television? Right? Because you're going from one that area-wise, this is twice the area of my last television. So it's going to be, if I put it too low, I mean, I guess I could have put the bottom right where the bottom was before, because the high end would have been fine, but I put it higher.
Every application is different.
Yeah, they say when it's a bigger TV, you need to put it up higher. I know that because of the bottom's going to be lower, but it was almost, instead of like 2 to 1, like 1 inch rise for every 2 inches you go up in size, which is pretty much what you think you do, because half the size goes one direction and the other half goes the other. And it was counterintuitive to that. So I went along with it, and it worked out pretty good. And I went up next door and asked my neighbor to help me put it up there. And then I spent doing the tech stuff. How the hell do you I got to get my Alexa hooked up and all that stuff. I mean, I got it. I went and got the app that I got the
your Alexa.
Yeah.
You're having trouble marrying it up to your TV.
Yeah. So we're not going to. I mean, we're not going to work that out on here. I mean, there's an app you got to get for Samsung, right? It's called the Smart App. It's their app. It's their hub.
Okay.
And for Alexa, you got to allow for a skill. You got to go into Alexa, and you got to allow a new skill, and you got to get the Smart App linked up with Alexa. But for some reason, it's not recognizing the TV, even though the Smart App links with the TV. Smart App's supposed to be conduit for Alexa to be able to hook it.
Right.
It.
Hey, Papa, what happened to your Alexas?
I ripped them out of the house, baby.
Yeah.
No Alexa. No eavesdropping.
Wouldn't if you would that preclude you having a friend named Alexa? If you, I mean, if you call them on the phone and you kept on saying, "Oh, hi Alexa," and then all of a sudden the stupid thing starts. That's where they tell you can call it robot or computer.
You can name it anything you want, I believe. Can't you?
But there are studies that do say that they 100% listen to you when they're not active.
No, you'd be talking. I would be talking to Damon in the house.
Well, there's
And
nothing's precluding you.
If we're
from
talking
unplugging
about
it.
widgets, say, next thing you know, on my iPhone, there's ads for widgets. So you can't, and it happens. It was happening all the time.
I'm probably. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. But I mean, if you're really concerned about it, just get a put it on a power strip and then turn off the power. It's not listening when there's no power.
No, but it is listening when you mute it.
Oh well, I'm really not concerned about it yet. If I actually like the convenience of, some people say, "Oh, I am not that interesting person that I think there's going to be anybody listening." I mean, we haven't gone so far that I'm worrying about people recording our conversation and caring about it.
Well, there is that law enforcement thing.
Well, I'm not doing anything.
No, of course you're not doing anything, but it's just on principle. So law enforcement had to solve a domestic violence that unfortunately ended in a murder.
Mm-hmm.
And what they did is it's Google that owns Alexa, right?
Mm-hmm.
They subpoenaed the Google records, and they got the
All the
transcript
audio
of what was
feeding.
overheard by Alexa, and the Alexa was on mute.
Oh, was the person found hanging in the middle of the room and there was no chair, but there was a puddle of water?
I have no idea, but
You know what that
they got
is,
all
isn't
the
it?
evidence they needed to prove what happened in that house.
No, they were on ice block.
Oh.
You didn't?
No.
You didn't know that one?
No.
You never heard that one? There's the person hanging in the middle of the room, and there's no chair or anything.
So they waited for the ice block to melt before they hung?
Or they could have kicked it, and they could have kicked the ice block over or something like that. Or the person put them on it and kicked them off, and then...
You got to be really cold-hearted to do that.
Yep, that's right. Kill them with
I would think your feet would be colder.
stab them with an icicle or something like that.
No shoe, no
Yeah.
sock. You barefoot.
But the Christmas thing, the thing down here when you get, especially with electronics now, when people on Christmas Day, batteries, remotes, cell phone batteries, charger cables, all these things that you get for, if you have kids and things like that, and if it's incomplete, that gift, you're not going to be playing with your gift on Christmas Day.
You got to get the batteries, man.
You got to look at the box when it says
gotta look at the
requires
Or
8
what's
double
worse?
A's or
What's
3
worse?
C's or
or
4
a battery
D's.
pack, that needs to be charged.
You got to charge it.
Yeah, yeah. People
Sorry,
don't.
kids, you got to wait 12 hours for this to charge.
Yeah, that was the worst thing.
They got the Taskmasters. They have that online app where people can call up and get someone. You get people to come and help you put together the gifts. There are. There's
Do they have like professional Lego builders that come around and help your kids at Christmas?
No. Assemble the gifts. Like someone gets a bike, or sent to them in the mail. They get things sent to them, and they have to be assembled. Really, and people
can't follow instructions.
Well, imagine you get a TV.
Yeah.
What if
There's
you have
people
no-
that don't know what the fuck they're
What
doing.
if you have no tools in the house?
Right. I suppose that's
Like I got a barbecue grill, I got no tools. Now what? Call Taskmaster.
But you're
There's some of
probably
those
gonna
girls.
pay
They
'em
come
just
in.
as
They
much.
come with their in the bracket. I guess. Well, how do you know it's going to fit your TV, or you're going to have the right screws to go into the? Because I saw the holes in the back. I said, "Is it universal? Or something like the depth and all that stuff." No, they come up with a little roll of like 12 different sets of screws.
Bubble wrap with all the different screws and
Yeah.
washers and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, all 12 different set. Now I got to go and take a look. I tried this one, and they show you they show you a little diagram of how far it should be poking out of it, and how with the washer, and they give you spacers and shit like that. This non-instructions where they don't give you words, just pictures,
Just
Well,
pictures.
you know, to
like IKEA stuff.
previous podcasts that we had, I mean, that's a new market for certain people.
That's what they're.
Women. Instead of washing your boat and taking care of you as well, I come install your TV and
Oh,
take care
that's
of
what
you
I'm saying. They
as
have
well.
apps for
in
that.
in a
They're-
bikini,
Yeah, they have. Yeah. Oh, that's
Yes,
and then stick around for dinner
exactly.
and some champagne.
And some whipped cream and ice cream.
well. It used to be
Complimentary
the
shower
Geek
provided.
Squad used to have to come in and set up your computer.
I'm ready for my close-up,
Right?
Mr.
Yeah,
DeVille.
but like the Geek
How
Squad,
do-
they just need to have like
you don't
hot
know what
geeks.
you don't know. Who doesn't know if you have a laptop and you have a Bluetooth, a wireless hookup to your printer? That the market is getting smaller and smaller for people that can't do it. Right?
Even
Because it's
Bluetooth
easier.
and wireless printers are coming with the original cable, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. Well, I haven't used cable
Yeah,
for
but
that
it's
in
pretty,
a while.
It's pretty
I-
straightforward stuff. When you get
Yeah.
a Bluetooth printer, it marries up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Even
turn
an
on the
old unit.
laptop,
But they
you turn
give
on
you the
laptop, they
old
give you
cables just in case you want to
most
go
of the
that
software is
route.
loaded onto it, and then you can load on any specialty software.
I don't
where you
think I've had
download
a
it.
cable on my printer
They have
for
plug and play with
6 or
everything
7
now.
years.
You
Just
plug
just
it in,
the
computer
120 and
recognizes
that's it.
But when you
You
order
know,
a Dell, you get it with all the software you need and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I mean,
But a plug
that
and
sucks
play.
for Geek Squad, right?
Let's say you have a Dell and you buy an HP printer, you can plug it in. If Dell has the plug and play, it automatically goes online and downloads the app for that specific printer.
Yep.
So I mean, it's not that hard.
Oh, it's not that. I
just
have an
downloads
HP
the
printer, and
driver.
it works with my Motorola phones. It works with the
Yeah.
iPhone. It works with my Dell laptop. My
You have a
notebook.
Motorola phone?
It's a flip phone. He still
I
has
haven't
the-
seen those for years. I know they just came out
It's not a
with
flip
new
phone.
ones.
Smartphone.
He still
Android.
Android.
Still has a T3
But it's
texting,
Motorola.
so he has to hit one
Yeah, it's
3
Motorola.
times to get C.
You know what? Well, you know what? How much does your insurance cost? Most of your guys' insurance is more than this phone cost me.
Our insurance is $20-something a phone.
Okay, that's $480 a year. I spent $140 for this phone. If this phone breaks today, I just go online and order the next newer one. And you know what?
But
it
who's
has
your carrier?
95% AT&T.
AT&T. We're
95
not advertising for them, by the way, but
95%. I just buy them. I don't do that. I'm not going to spend $200 for a phone,
right.
and I'm not going to spend $25 a month for it. Show me a feature that, because Google Assistant works for me. I don't need Siri. It turns on. I went up
Siri.
there. I listened to
Sorry.
Siri.
It's all
Or
of a sudden. It's all of a
Siri?
sudden Tom Cruise's
Siri.
kid.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
Oh, is that her
sorry.
name?
Surrey, I think,
Surrey
isn't it?
Yep.
or
And then-
slurry. Depends when she drinks.
Oh, wow, that she's a
I was
baby.
gonna say, can we change it to where she understands? Like
It's Tom
your
Cruise's
different
daughter.
tones?
You don't think she drinks?
Oh,
like
that's it.
9.
Yeah, they named her before.
Well, that was Surrey, not Siri.
Who gives a fuck? It's close enough, right? It's close enough. Hey, listen, we're gonna take. Oh no, we're not gonna take a
Well,
break.
there's no
What
break.
The fuck?
Why do you gotta take
I
a break?
forgot. Okay,
You gotta
listen,
pee?
we're gonna do a little commercial then.
Okay.
Listen, if ladies and gentlemen, if you are down here in the Florida Keys and find yourself in the vicinity of mile marker 102 Oceanside, come to the Catch Restaurant and Bar in Key Largo. It's open from 11 to 10 every day with happy hour 3:30 to 5:30 Monday through Friday with happy hour drinks, happy hour food. We got daily specials, live entertainment on Friday and Saturday, and on Monday nights, what?
Martini Monday.
From
Just please be considerate. Don't show up at 9:50 and be 10 o'clock Tommy. Show up a little bit before.
No. Listen. We're in a place. If you come in and you just, especially
They will stay open.
we
and
will
take care
we
of you.
will take care of you. Yeah, there's a lot of places you can go down to. It's family owned, and
Awesome.
yep.
But Reba closes at 6. If you come in at 5:45 and you want a jet ski, just come back tomorrow. Because that's rude. But anyway,
Yeah, you're
No,
not a bar.
I'm not a bar.
Yeah. So be very accommodating. They do cook your catch and everything. And there's a lot of that's where all the locals go to
We
have
do.
food and drink. Yep, and
And then you get the best bartender in the Keys.
Yep, and if not, then I'll be there, and and we're always happy to see you. And the owners and the crew there wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Happy Hanukkah and
Happy Hanukkah. I forgot that.
And happy holidays.
Diwali
and
was already this year.
Ramadan.
And,
Okay.
And
Yeah, I know.
Feliz Navidad.
You're not a very religious person. You're not a very religious
Milky
person.
Maca.
What's your routine on Christmas? You.
What's that?
You and Tyler.
A Latino Christmas? What did you say?
A Latino, yes. What's a Puerto Rican Christmas like?
Christmas morning.
Oh well, come on. You're Lebanese or Puerto Rican. What's the
we
difference?
wake up,
Same thing.
we have our coffee and Baileys, or we have our Bloody Mary. We sit back, relax.
Coffee and Baileys.
And
My favorite.
You ever try with
sometime
Frank
throughout the day,
Yes.
Papa and Damon and everybody else start showing up, and we start cooking.
Yeah. Tell us what's
Lots of cooking.
Our baby kids will be down here for this one.
Yep. Our baby kids will be down here for New Year's.
Yeah, New Year's. But even
and
if they
then
were here,
we will have
My baby
Papa's,
kid will be here.
Papa's baby kid and her baby kid and her baby daddy. And we will be celebrating Christmas with them.
but
so that
with
will be
bloodies
fabulous. And yes, and maybe some champagne that we still have in the fridge from
yes.
Thanksgiving that we haven't opened.
Yeah, I'm not a big champagne
I
guy,
know,
so what
I'm
I
not
got,
either.
I got the Martinelli's sparkling cider.
Oh, I have
Yeah, we
some
got
of
some
the,
of that still,
yeah.
too.
Well, I think we have the. Yeah, it's like the alcohol-free, whatever,
Yeah.
sparkling grape juice. But I like that stuff. It is tasty. I like that stuff. I know, me too. I used to have that when I was little. My mom would pour me a glass of
Hey,
that.
what did we decide to cook?
You
Spiral ham and roast beef.
spiral ham and roast beef, and you said that we were possibly doing another roast beef, I believe, a turkey when the kids are here.
That's the following week.
Right, because over New Year's we will have the twin boys and their girlfriends.
Oh,
Yeah,
and-
we'll do it.
And one of their girlfriends has never seen deep fried turkey in real life and never tasted it either.
Poor
really?
girl, she's
Yeah.
Canadian.
She's a
Canadian.
Canuck.
She's a Canadian. Hi, Sasha.
oh, that's going to be nice. Hello, Sasha. My girls, Abby says she might want to go to Marathon to the beach that day. It's funny, I'm a homebody.
On Christmas Day?
Yeah, well, it's a good day to do stuff like that.
Yeah, I suppose
we did it on New Year's Day. So I wanted to cook, and then I realized, wait a sec, I could do the 26th
Yeah.
if I have to. And then I said, well, I'll do Christmas Eve because I'm off on Christmas Eve. You know what she said? No meat on Christmas Eve.
Ah.
Yeah, it's Polish fish.
Oi,
It's not my thing.
the
you
feast
know?
of the seven fishes.
It's funny,
I hate it. It's Italian.
Oh,
and it's Catholic countries.
yeah.
Yeah, Catholic
Oh,
countries,
you
they
know-
do the
And
fish.
you don't even want to talk about what seven fishes they eat.
I was totally
Really?
raised
Like
Catholic,
what?
and I don't remember fish.
Oh, what is those?
Fish thing.
From sardines to what is it? Herring to
Oh, like schmelt?
smelts, not
Smelt.
Smelt.
Well,
Well, I
unless
smelled it.
unless you're Yiddish, then I guess it was
Schmelt. I
schmelt.
smelt those.
Smelt.
I went over to a
Heck,
friend's
a lot.
house where they had
Sweaty
they
balls.
they go like this. Do you want to stay over for dinner? Sure. I said, well, okay. I go, what's for dinner? And they go macaroni, cheese, and smelt. And I go,
Oof.
And you
and they got
smelt
this
what?
little fish. And I go, oh, Jesus Christ.
Like sardines.
I'm in college. I was in my 20s. I used to eat the small fish, but they were alive when I ate them. And I go, you just swallow them. It's just like, it's not something you just, boy, that herring, that
Oh, yeah.
cream herring,
No.
and
Pickled herring. I like
Pickled
pickled
herring.
herring.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, in my
Maybe
neighborhood
I have to
growing
try it
up
a little.
was
Maybe I'll have to try it again.
Good stuff.
was a big Jewish.
I like
population.
gefilte
yeah.
fish.
And
Gefilte-
you like
gefilte
gefilte?
fish?
Yeah,
Oh, gefilte.
I love
I
whitefish.
gefilte
I love the
fish.
whitefish and
The whitefish is all right.
The smoked whitefish.
yeah,
Yeah.
I,
So you
like.
just
Yeah,
pick
no,
it.
I liked it.
Gefilte, if I see gefilte in a jar, I'm repulsed. Just the odor.
I know.
Blech.
It's weird. You grow up in those old cities up north, and they got the real blend of you get the Polish, German, Jewish food. It's
make it
great. I mean,
interesting,
I'll tell you, for me, and I have some German ancestors, but we never ate that much German food. I love that is the most Christmassy type of food.
Prost.
You know, for me, that just
German
feels it. Just a German. Whenever
Like
my father would
grits
take
and-
my father and I would take when I was in college. We'd take my grandmother shopping this place in this mall north of Philadelphia, and they had this chain restaurant called Mr. Dunderbox or something like that.
Dunderbox?
Meister Dunderbox or something like that. Or German beer, bratwurst and stuff like that. We're sitting, and then a couple years later, I went to this Hofbrau house. I used to like going there, and then an Austrian village in northeast Philadelphia.
He likes
and
the
it just
Wiener Schnitzel.
no, it's just the way they were decorated and the way everyone dressed. It seemed kind of Christmassy during Christmas, more so than.
Yeah.
Well, an Italian restaurant could seem very Christmassy too. Very rarely does an Irish bar look
what do
very
they wear?
Christmassy.
The knickers. What are they called? The
Lederhosen.
Lederhosen. Lederhosen.
Lederhosen, yeah.
That's very Christmassy.
They
even
Yeah,
though-
that's what I'm
are.
saying. The
Yeah.
Lederhosen
even though
and
it's not really Christmassy.
No,
at
but
all,
if you were like,
see,
you
Well,
know,
the Polish-
red Lederhosen,
the
and then
Polish,
you're
the mountain
dressed
people-
in
they
the
wear the Lederhosen upside down though.
no, but they wear the big puffy shirts and all that stuff, and it does seem Christmassy too.
It's like the Greeks.
yeah.
You know, the Greek traditional costume when they dancing around, and it's very festive. It's that Mediterranean, European.
Yep.
It's all about
Yeah, it does kind of
get together,
blend.
eat a lot, drink a lot, dance a lot, talk louder as the night goes
Well,
on.
I'm
it's
still
a good time.
I'm still waiting for Jenna to make me some baklava.
Baklava.
But that's not very Christmassy. That's
No,
just a standard
it's
Mediterranean
amazing.
dessert.
But if you pop baklava out during Christmas to someone that isn't used to it,
yeah, they might
you can say
consider it
that's
a Christmas.
that's Christmas.
So, Mom the other day told me about a podcast that she listened to, because now you have her addicted to podcasts. She doesn't even listen to like regular radio anymore. And she sent me the link for this one, and she kept calling it wrong. She kept calling it Krumpass, like K-U-R.
Oh, Krampus.
Yeah. And I'm like, you mean it's
Is
called
that
it's
German?
Krampus. It's Krampus,
Krampus.
not Krumpass. But Mom, I had to correct her. But the Krampus knocked ball. They were advertising for this for last week in Ground Zero nightclub in Minneapolis, and Krampus is what happens to the bad kids.
Well, what
In-
was the
in
guy's name?
Germany.
It was. Who was the guy's name? That was the
like
guy.
Krampus is the name of the guy.
And
They
it was
made a
Little
new horror
Peter.
film about him
Right,
too.
but it's-
Little Peter was the one. His buddy, the Black Peter.
Yeah.
Black Peter
So
was his sidekick,
those
and they
are-
come and beat you with a
They
stick.
beat the bad kids. So if you're not on St. Nicolaus's good kid list, then Krampus comes and beats you.
So it's
with
like-
his sidekick.
It's like purgatory for the
terrorizes you.
shitheads.
Yep.
It's shithead
Yeah, they don't
purgatory.
leave it to religion or someone to do it to be
Right.
punitive.
Exactly.
Well, Santa Claus is, when especially
There's no
you've
bright
seen
side
how Santa
to
Claus is coming into
Dante's
town,
Inferno.
and he's looking at the list, and it was Mickey Rooney was the voice, and he's looking at the list, and he goes checking the names as well. He was good, she was good, she was good, he was good, and he goes. He takes the list. He goes, "They're all good," and he threw it away. He was like, "How am I not going to do that to someone?" My daughter was still kind of playing. She will say, "Oh, okay. You were saying Santa last year, but you don't believe in Santa. So you're just doing that to milk more gifts out of us." And she goes, "Yeah. So I still believe in Santa." And I go, "Yeah, but you." Oh yeah, I really. But she goes, "I'll get my picture taken." She goes like this. I'll get my picture taken with Santa if that's what it takes. I go, wow, you're just playing it all the way. No shame what
Like
Milking
most
the
people who go to
system.
church.
Yeah,
I'll go
You
to
think-
church. I gotta be seen.
I don't
Did
believe
you
it.
go to church today? Yes, I went to
Yeah.
church. I'm a good person.
What was that one? I'll make up a story for you. You
Make
want
up
to use
any
the story?
story. Why not? It's
Want a
fun.
story?
I can make up better stories than the ones I know.
Yeah, there was a farmer who had 2 cows, and one cow gave a lot of milk, and one gave a little milk. So one
was
day
2
he
little
killed
mice in a bucket
he
of
killed the
cream.
one and ate the one that gave the little milk. The moral to the story: give a lot of milk if you want to live. That's it. Yeah.
Just
Gospel according to Jim. There you go.
It just makes me think of what is that? What is that movie called with Leo in it? Catch Me If You Can. There was 2 little mice in a bucket of cream.
Oh,
Oh,
God.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah, but only the way Christopher Walken
Right.
can tell it. There's 2 little mice in a bucket of cream. That poor little mouse tried so hard to get out. That was a great movie.
Yep.
Oh, that was so sad, though, when you think about the
It's pathetic.
pathetic. Well, on 2 levels.
Catches his mom humping some dude.
Well, the
All of a sudden you
Christopher
gotta move
Walken wife, he's like this real sharp guy in the beginning, Christopher Walken, and he goes a slow, steady demise. Loses his wife. The wife
Well, it's
runs
because
off
the
with
IRS came after him.
Yeah, leaves with the mayor of the town or whatever,
Yep.
something. And then he comes home and he sees his mom moved on with a new family and all that stuff. That's
But he
Yeah.
loved his dad. He never lost hope in his dad.
no.
Just wanted to keep proving to his dad that he was a good boy
Yeah.
and successful.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you going to now?
He's very successful.
I never that move off that. I said that was a great subject to talk about, though. You always think about people that when they have their second families and stuff like that, when they leave their first family, you know.
You know
The
those
Christmas
crazy
people?
stories.
I know, and they go and do it, and they go and the moms just abandon their families, or the father just
take off.
or the 2 that have 2 lives,
Right? Yeah.
2 families. And you go and sit down and go, oh, yeah. There was a movie in the 50s. Amazing Mr. Pennypacker or something like that?
You
Yeah,
lost-
it was New York and Philly, and he's a traveling salesman. He's going back and forth, has 2 families.
Yeah.
Guys,
Ow.
I
So
mean-
crazy.
I would imagine that's really kind
It-
of
well-
truckers and pilots and
yeah,
Oh,
pilots. Well, you told me about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone you know.
Yep.
Um,
Not necessarily a second family, really, but because of the
you got to really,
The
you got to
distance
really. I know it's
that's
not a really
there.
Christmas themed thing to talk
Right.
about, but to be able to do that,
Can you imagine though? Then you got to pay for 2 freaking Christmases. If you got second family
Jenna,
somewhere.
I'm saying to be able to go in a state of mind and look at
You're
someone.
worried about paying.
You're worried
for
about
extra
paying for
gifts.
Christmas.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like looking at someone in your face and saying, "Hey, baby, I really love you" and stuff like that,
Which-
and be able to say it to the same other person with the same amount of
Right.
passion.
And then, but how are you going to keep them all on your insurance without them
well,
finding out?
nowadays that's the old days. You
I'd
just
like the family plan, but I have multiple
the
families.
old days,
Thank you very
Jenna,
much.
you got you need a,
Yes. Is there a Mormon
you had
family plan?
appendicitis. You bring over 2 chickens, and then you're there. Or a baklava.
Is there the
Here's a baklava. Can you remove my tooth?
Can I please have the Mormon HMO?
Yes.
So that I can provide for all 6 of my kids.
Yes,
with
Mrs.
this-
Kelly. Which husband would this be?
Which-
Number 1, number 2, or number 3?
Number 3.
The one I like. Well, which one is that?
Is this the concubine insurance policy, or is this the spouse?
Is this the mistress policy?
Yeah.
See, that's
Oh,
a Christmas
I'll put
subject,
you up. I'll
isn't
put
it?
you up in
What?
a good hotel.
Wives, whores, concubines. Sure, it is. Why not?
I
have
wonder.
more
I
than-
wonder what that's like. What a Christmas is like at a massage parlor or a chicken ranch.
Oh, you
or
get
something
big
like that.
Merry Christmas at massage parlor.
You know.
We have big present for you at the end.
Oh, today
Well, I mean-
not $10.
Big present.
I think the guy has a
only
small
$8.
present. It certainly would be a small package, probably.
Well, you get
What
your-
do you get the concubine for Christmas? Because you ain't gonna hang
Who
out
has
with her.
concubines anymore?
I don't know.
What are
That's
you
what-
like a 16th century
That's what-
Chinese emperor?
That's what Papa said. Okay, what do you get the mistress for Christmas? Because you ain't
Concubine.
hanging out with
A
her.
concubine is an
Another burn
official
phone.
role.
Right. It's
It's
your
it's
whore.
an honor. It's a concubine. It's like the royal. It's one step down for
The
from
royal
a
pee-pee
royal
washer?
consort. No, the penis watcher was coming to America.
Coming to America.
Shall
the
I
royal
wash your
penis
balls?
Is clean, sir.
The royal penis.
It's clean.
Boy, man, Jesus Christ, we've women have come a long way where that was acceptable to say the movie. Hey, this will be funny. We'll throw that in there.
Yeah, you.
I mean,
could-
people
that-
really didn't think about it when you think long and hard.
Ah,
No pun intended.
No pun
But
intended
it-
whatsoever. Yeah, just some of the things.
I think Jim needs a cock cake.
A cock cake.
Yeah.
Or a cock ice cube.
Yes, true.
Well, you got one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm drinking a beer. Why would I want?
Have you made the
No,
precision
no,
cookies
not the
yet?
No,
fucking cookies.
no, I have to make.
Hey,
a whole
do
new
you
batch.
have? I see. You have that the Jello.
I
we
do
got
have Jello
Jell-O
shots
shots.
in the fridge.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Yeah.
do an hour today, so
Yeah. Well, you're welcome to Jello shots.
When we were talking about the two mice and the cream, I had to re-listen to the skit, and I forgot how actually funny it
Right.
was.
The two little mice in the
Yeah.
bucket of green. Yeah,
Indeed.
but you do the best
No, I don't.
impression.
No,
That
you
was
do
aw-
it better
that-
because
that-
I just listened to this one, and it's like he doesn't have the full-blown
Oh, you didn't
accent.
listen to the real one?
No, this is it.
okay.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool.
Fell in a bucket of cream. The first mouse quickly gave up and drowned. The second mouse wouldn't quit. He struggled so hard that eventually he turned that cream into butter and crawled out. Gentlemen, as of this moment, I am that second mouse.
Second mouse.
I am that
What's
second mouse.
Who's he telling?
He
this
was
joke?
he was doing an
was the head-
award
The
ceremony.
Kiwanis.
Yeah, and
Oh.
he was like honored for some businessman of the year
Yeah.
thing or something. But yeah,
Oh, then the IRS
And
took him
Leo's.
out.
yeah, and the
there.
IRS took him out. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And he owned a stationery store.
That's right.
That's how his son learned how to wash checks
Yep.
and do all the shit that he would steal the labels off of everything and then use the label.
And
Oh, that was
order-
my
how to
favorite.
order
The,
the high-end
yeah,
paper.
yeah.
Oh,
Get the
when
high
he
end
did
paper, the thicker
American
paper.
Airlines.
Pan Am.
Yeah, Pan Am.
Am, where
Yeah.
he would take the
Pan American.
novelty
He would
planes
buy the
and
novelty
pull
planes,
the stickers off of it.
soak them in the bathtub until the labels came off, and then reuse the labels and put them on the checks.
Frank Abagnale.
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 Not
Abagnale.
Abagnale. Not Abagnale.
And
It's
what's the name of the
Abagnale.
And he
agent?
pretended to be the French teacher because his mom was from France, from Montrichard. Remember? So his mom was French, so
we
he
watched
spoke
this
French.
like a couple weeks
And
ago.
he literally went into school, a new school, wearing his old school uniform when he used to go to a nice school, and he didn't know what to do. So he went all of a sudden had to get taken out. You know, parents are splitting up, doing whatever, and then he's
The
wearing
teacher
his
never showed
he's wearing
up.
his private school uniform, so he looks like a fucking teacher. And he walks into
is
the
that in the
class.
movie?
Yeah,
Catch me if you can.
catch me if you
Oh,
can.
when he goes to the public school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he walks into the class, and somebody's like, "Yeah, you look like a substitute teacher." And he walks up to the board and takes over and starts teaching the French class.
Abagnale. Not Abagnale.
And then they were like, yeah. And then the principal takes the parents in the office like 2 weeks later, and they're like, "Your son has been planning a field trip." You know, like there's a problem. Yep, pretty awesome. Which was actually based on a true
Agent's
story.
first name was it Frank?
No, Frank Abagnale was the kid. The agent was Hanratty.
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 Oh, knock,
agent-
knock.
Yeah.
Who's there?
Go fuck yourself. I like that one.
Yep.
That was the joke
Man,
there.
ratty.
That was definitely a New Jersey one. You want to hear a joke? Yeah, I want to hear a joke. Okay, I got a joke for you. That was it. We have our Christmas party coming up this weekend.
Oh, your
And
catch Christmas party?
I always, God, I think it's 50-50 how, when I was younger, I usually get inebriated or destroyed when I was younger. Nowadays, it's just, if I'm lucky to I'll get to 10:30.
Yeah.
It's sad. It's a sad state of affair. I mean, I guess I used to be able to sleep till 9. So you're able to stay up till 2. We at the catering hall we worked at, I mentioned before, they give us the keys and we had a DJ playing and we'd go till 5, 6 in the morning.
Yikes.
Easy.
I can't.
5, 6 in the
No
morning.
way. Those
I-
days
So
are
that's like
long
it was.
gone, man.
You know what? That was the guy that went to the Polish wedding. I would have been able to you just got to get up and dance and talk to the girls and stuff. But when you're not dancing and you're not running around talking to people and stuff like that, you're just drinking.
Yeah, the lazy kicks in. You're like, fuck it.
Oh, I'm just drinking,
Yeah,
and
then
you
you're
get,
just watching
You
the
know,
minutes
I got
tick
a
by.
text message from a coworker last night at like
Yeah.
9:30 who was barking at me this morning about not answering him. And I was like, I was in bed. He was like, who's in bed at 9:30? I'm like, me.
Calling you at 9:30.
Yeah, it was like 9:30.
What the fuck?
I know, but I was tired.
Why are they calling you at 9:30?
Oh, he texted me he wanted the link for the Everglades boater safety class.
Life and death shit, huh?
I know, right?
Hey, I don't even know who that is.
You can guess
but
who
you
it
know
is.
what? He can go fuck himself.
Yeah, well, you would say that to him.
I would.
Whenever anybody tries to, expecting you to answer the phone, unless you're on call.
Look, man, if you're going to call,
unless you're on call, if your job, if your job is on call and you get paid, to be on call, or you were hired on the auspice, to be on call, you're the only sheriff in town in Dodge, and
do you ever find yourself judging people by how late they text you or send you a message? Like I've listed our other house.
If a girl does, I'm going. Oh, I'm
you're
getting
like,
laid.
what's up? Well, I listed our other house for rent.
Oh, text. I'm sorry. That wasn't.
I have the current.
When they called me, when I got a call from a girl
at like 2 a.m.
after 9:30.
Yeah, you know that's like a booty
after
call.
9:30, and I hear her voice, and she's not a relative or something like that. I go, oh, okay, game on.
Yeah, you're just out to get some.
Yeah, let's go.
But I had our other house is the tenant, the current renter, is leaving to take a new job and relocate. So I had relisted the house for rent, and I had somebody send me a private message because, of course, you don't put your phone number out there. You just say, okay, send me a PM if you're interested in looking at the house. And I get a message at 2 a.m. Well, of course, I didn't see it until the next morning. But 2 a.m.? You're going to send somebody a message at 2 a.m. and inquire about the house. What are you doing up at 2 a.m.?
Yeah, it's a little odd.
Oh,
Yeah.
speaking
So I felt myself judging this
go
person.
2 a.m. That sparked a new scam, another scam down here. People were renting houses down here.
Yeah.
On Craigslist.
Yes.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
People.
Houses
A
that
friend
they-
of ours put. You know who I'm talking
I know
about?
exactly who you're talking about.
Their kid gave sent 14 or 15. Could you grab me a beer? One of those.
$1,400 for a deposit to rent this house for a vacation rental for like a week.
And I think I want to know if they caught him. Thank you.
And that house is not for rent.
Well, they meet him at the gate and say, "Yeah, this is the house."
No. They have them PayPal them the money ahead of time.
How do they get
to
pictures
reserve-
of it and all that?
Because they're all on Zillow.
Oh, the
All
houses
those
are
houses
sale.
No, if they've been for sale or in the last 3, 4, 5 years, all of the pictures of the house, like this house is on the market, so that you could easily look up this exact
That is
address.
a genius scam.
And what they
But
do
who the
is
hell gives a $1,400 deposit for something they haven't been this look
because
at?
they're coming here for a vacation, they can't come here first. Look
No,
at the house.
this one was not. The $1,400 wasn't for a vacation.
I think the question is, why would you go to Craigslist when you should be going to a licensed real estate broker?
Or even
Or a rental
Airbnb.
Right.
If you go through Airbnb and it doesn't, they're going to take care of you. They're going to find a place for you to stay.
Right.
If
but
someone
Craigslist is the cheaper way to go, in quotes. So therefore, people are like, now they have to add to their disclaimer. Like, if you don't see that this house is being listed by, a licensed real estate agent.
People go to Craigslist for that?
People go to Craigslist for vacation rentals.
Shady.
Yeah,
and
that would
so
be problem
and these
number
people
one.
pay. But
That's like going to a roadside tattoo artist.
No, but I will tell you though, PayPal is really good about.
How about
scooping
a
your money
dentist?
back.
How about a dentist that works out of a U-Haul center?
Right. Yeah, it's a little.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
a little
right,
disturbing.
Yeah.
But
You're right.
there was a house 2 blocks away that was listed on. It was not Airbnb, but it was something else for a vacation rental by owner, VRBO, something like that. That house was not
VRBO.
vacation rental by owner, and it was listed on something like that when the
Well,
previous owners.
VRBO has to verify that then.
But that house was on the market. They put their information in as if they were the person's name on the taxes, because that's public record, and then was advertising it for vacation rentals and trying to accept money and deposits for it. But think about it's all through email.
How about a third level scam where you are a person who owns one of those? You get someone to say, "Hey, listen, can you post it? Make up the information." do it from your whatever site,
Right.
collect the money, give me half, you keep the other half.
Right.
Do this. I mean, I'll get
There's-
pictures of it.
there's-
I'll pretend that I'm selling my house in order to make payment.
Or if you're under foreclosure.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
Knock
another
out
thing
a
that's
bunch
been
of
going
those.
on.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of houses that are in pre-foreclosure.
Right.
That the sheriff's sale hasn't happened yet.
And they're all
the people
visible
are
on
still in
Zillow.
there squatting.
Yeah.
And then they'll rent it out, and they'll make money by renting out these houses.
We have a pre-foreclosure on the next block here.
Yep, we do.
Yeah.
And
What is a pre-foreclosure?
It's prior to sheriff's sale.
So the notice have been.
The notice has been posted,
yeah.
but nobody has been ordered to
Right.
vacate
It's
as
called
of yet.
Is it a notice with intent to foreclose from the bank?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's
So-
just like an eviction. It's like 60 to 90 days, if not more.
Oh, more 6 months.
Yeah.
Oh,
Takes
it-
6 months
it
to
takes
get
a
it,
while.
especially if you can prove that somebody's living there. Then those people have squatter rights, and they can claim that they rented it legally, that they
You
have
can
every
find
right to be
rental
here.
agreements online.
It's I mean,
Make up your own crap.
it's pretty nasty. My sister had a squatter. It took her 2 years to get the squatter out of her house. 2 years.
2 years?
Yes.
You almost have to hire like thugs to go in, throw all the stuff on the curb,
Yep.
change the locks.
Yep.
Then you don't have to let them back in, and they have no
but,
recourse
but,
to get back in
well,
the house.
But they can call the police, and if they've ever had one piece of mail ever sent to that house that has their name on it with that address on it,
Yeah.
then they can prove that they have established residency there, and the cops will let them back in.
Shitty.
Yep.
I'd be stealing mail.
So, well, what you have to do is you have to stop all mail and get a post office
Right.
box. I had to go through the whole process and help my sister with it.
Wow. 2 years.
2 years. It was
What
a
was the deal?
coworker. She had a coworker who I believe was going through a divorce, had 2 little kids, needed a temporary place to stay. My sister let her and her 2 kids stay there, and it turned into it was supposed to be for 3 weeks until she could get something else, and it turned into 2.5 years. And it took a long time. And this,
she never paid
and this
any-
woman had a problem with
She never
drugs,
paid rent or
with the law, constantly being arrested. One of her vehicles.
how about
like a-
utilities and stuff like that? What have?
my utilities. My sister still lived there. Like my sister, it is still to this day my sister's house. All the
she was
utilities
in the
are-
house with her.
Yeah, because my sister let her stay for 3 weeks,
Uh-huh.
and to being like 2 years before we could get her out. We had to post notices, follow every county is different. So, and this was, in Minnesota. So we had to deal with Hennepin County laws, squatter rules, things like that. You can't put someone out if it's too cold, because then they'll freeze to death. There's all kinds of crap. Like, too, also up
And she
there.
stayed in the house.
She stayed there.
How did your sister interact with her?
It was difficult. It was just like horrible for her to even exist. She would come home every day. Her house was trashed. These rotten kids were running everywhere. Like,
Mom would be
the mom would
gone
leave.
and
She
leave
would
the
put the
kids
kids to
there.
bed and
Yeah.
then leave in the middle of the night to go out partying.
So, Nanu,
My sister would wake up at like 4:00 in the morning. There's 2 little kids there.
have to take care of them.
How about child services?
We have tried that too, but
Yeah.
because they were in the system with assistance and whatnot, then the benefit always goes to the child. Well, then the system would say, well, it looks to us like it would be better off for the children to stay in the house with you instead of being removed. So then they advocate for the squatters to stay there. Like the way that the system works is just ridiculous.
Wow.
But it took a long time. It actually took to the point where this woman got arrested for, I believe it was a 3rd or 4th drug charge,
Yeah.
and had gotten stopped while
Delivering pizza.
delivering Chinese food without a valid license and with a warrant out, and was stopped for either like I can't remember the details, but it was either that the person was stopped for either like running a stop sign or having like a light out,
Something
and then
stupid,
got
yeah.
arrested, and then
Another Christmas miracle.
Right.
What can I say?
yeah, well, it was great.
What a great
because
Christmas story.
She after this person was
I
incarcerated
know. I
for long
indulged
enough.
it. I indulged it. So.
After that person was incarcerated for long enough, there was the time to remove everything,
Yeah.
and then
Well,
change locks.
at
and
this
put
time
up
of year,
cameras.
though, if up north, and I have a friend in Laramie, Wyoming. It was 5 degrees.
Ooh.
I can't imagine. I know there's homeless people up there.
Yeah, but I
Not
don't
as
understand why.
down here, though.
You could be homeless down here and
No
live in a
problem.
tent.
It's like this.
Well, you're not going to freeze to death down here.
Not at all.
But you will get eaten by
get
mosquitoes and
mildew. Yeah, Jesus Christ.
mosquitoes, mildew, and
Shit.
no-see-ums.
The high dew point and all that shit.
Funny you should mention homeless because every year I give to Camilla's house during Christmas. So literally an hour before I came here.
Where's Camilla's house?
It's downtown
Miami.
And they have a lot of outreaches. They have training programs. They have a culinary school. They do anything they can to retrain the homeless, to put them into jobs, shelters.
Thank you.
It's a wonderful outreach. It's actually run by the Catholic Church. They do a fantastic job. And, of course, then they feed the homeless. They make sure that they're clothed and they're not forgotten. Mm-hmm. It's actually a pretty and most important as far as I'm concerned.
What?
It has a 97 or a 98 percentage approval rate for those
to get rehomed.
No,
right?
They take very little money for administrative costs, so their rating amongst charities is at the top.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh, efficiency wise.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, and reinvestment wise.
Yes, most of
There's
the money
not a
goes
CEO.
right back into the people
Right.
they're helping.
Yeah, it's not like a CEO in the corner taking money.
No, the priests are getting paid whatever the
Right.
archdiocese pays
Yep.
them, and so
That's pretty good.
There is a place
It is
in
very
Minneapolis
good.
called Sharing and Caring Hands, and it's operated by Mary Jo Copeland. And I went to school with many of her kids, and so did my sister. I believe she has, I'd have to ask my sister, but I believe she has like 9 to 12 children, and varying ages. But I mean, the amazing work that she does for the homeless. She owns like a food shelf, and she helps them with their food. She has a soup line.
Oh, she
everything
has
else.
a pantry?
She does,
Like
but it's amazing. It's a big facility, and it's like right as you enter downtown Minneapolis, and she has lines and lines of people, and it's one of those really cool places that's like you can go to volunteer there, and most of them I found when I volunteered there were the veterans.
yeah, there's an awful lot of homeless veterans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there is I read an article yesterday that New Orleans has got a huge rehoming program going on, and a lot of these homeless veterans are being helped.
What's rehoming?
Like taking them from being homeless and being homed, right? So like helping.
They find you like a bagger job or something like that, to where you can pay minimum of
And
an apartment,
but
and
they're
they
living
take care of the
in
rest.
like nice facilities. They're not living in these old nasty brick buildings with like shit falling apart. Like it's cool because they're taking. They're starting off with therapy for the homeless veterans, and then they
'Cause you got to reintroduce them to civilization at
a
that
little
point.
bit because they lose track, and then they give them real small amounts of responsibility at first, and then they just kind of help guide them every step of the way, and they also do a lot of mental health.
It's like the organization probably covers 75% of the cost for those housings, and then they give them small little jobs that they make
Right.
minimal money and
yeah.
reintroduce them to
gotta-
society.
you know
Gotta
what? When
start
it
'em off
comes
slow.
to the thing, a lot of people don't talk about with the veterans is that you get a guy coming in, going into service at 17, 18 years old, and they could spend anywhere from 4 to 20-something years,
Right.
30 years, and they could live on base, have all their medical needs taken care of, and
supplied
things
for.
like that. And as well they should, because of the commitment they made.
Right.
But they don't
And-
know the true society.
And then
when
when
they
you
leave.
go out, and they're not ready.
They
It's
come
just like a
out-
kid.
Well-
It's like a kid moving out of high school and going out, and their parents cooked for them and did everything.
But
and
by
laundry.
the time they come out, now they have some PTSD or some mental
well,
health.
there's multiple things. But you're in
conditions
a
as
service,
well.
and just think of separation from service.
Right?
Yeah.
They need to be
Your life is regimented.
reintroduced.
Your life is regimented from the time you wake up.
You wake up, you do work, you
do work,
eat
you do
this
this, you
time,
go and
blah,
hang
blah,
out.
blah.
You have your support system. You have your friends. You got you guys in your platoon or your shipmates or your crew in the Air Force, whatever. And that's your support group. And then
But
there's other guys though. They live off base. I have a friend. His name's also Tyler. He's married to a beautiful girl, Tyler Missy. Just recently got married. Well, they got married earlier, but they had their church wedding recently, and they live down in Almirada now.
Huh.
And he's out. He lives in a house. He's doing that stuff. I mean, he has a thing. So you can have. He's in the Coast Guard. I realize there's PTSD. There's multiple things that happen
Right.
when you go into the service. There are people. During World War II. There were guys that had families. They drafted up to 35.
Yeah.
That was old.
Yeah.
There were older guys serving in World War II, and they had families, and they knew when they went in, they drafted civilians. When I say civilians, guys that's been adults for years.
Yep.
And they had to go and break them down and get them into doing all this stuff. And they came back, and they had family to come back to. There were some guys that had PTSD because they did some horrible things. They saw some horrible things, and especially in the Pacific Theater,
Yes.
the island hopping and all that stuff. And they came back, and they didn't really treat it well.
Right.
Just think of the story of Patton when he ran into one of his soldiers that was in an aid station, and he said, "What are you here?" He said, "Oh, what's your injury, son? I just can't take it." That happens. That happens with some people. They don't do well under pressure.
At this moment in time, we have to speak a little louder.
What?
Just forewarning you.
Oh,
the guys are coming back?
The fucks are here.
They're not. You know what? The nice thing about it, it's not gonna pick up as much. It'll show up as light background music, and we're at 1 hour.
But
1 minute.
And like we were saying, even the simple things. All right, you've been in the service for 10, 15, 20 years. You have your time frames. You wake up, you get ready, you have your barracks check, you go, you have your slop, and you go out and you do your runs and everything.
Yeah, you never made breakfast.
They
for
don't know
yourself.
anything
Right.
about making breakfast,
You don't-
going grocery shopping,
Right. And spending
Sometimes
money to
spending
do it.
money.
Sometimes
to make
laundry
enough money.
on laundry.
Yeah.
If you were on a ship,
Yep.
It's all done for
if
you.
you're on a ship all the time.
But you
You don't
those
fucking- you
simple
don't do any
things
laundry.
that most people don't understand that
Yeah,
it
but,
takes a lot for them.
No, but I say that
those
adds
make
to
for- those make for, it adds to the overall, but
Yeah.
those make for easier transitions. What really confounds it is when you take a young kid, say 18 years old,
Yeah.
and you send him for a 3 to 5 year tour in a theater of conflict, and then he comes home.
Yeah.
What he and now she is faced with isn't just being, reacclimated to carrying the responsibility like anyone else of having a job, doing the laundry. It's doing that with this tremendous burden of trauma and all that goes with that. And it's debilitating, and this is what we generally see on the street with veterans. And here's
I
here's the
agree with
crazy-
you. What I was saying, like just the baseline coming out without any of that stuff is difficult.
Yeah.
You throw everything else on top of it.
It becomes an impossible thing to break
Yes.
free of without professional intervention. And I'll just add this. Fire and law enforcement personnel can easily go through and have the same issues, and yet they're in our they're in society. They have families, homes, and doing all the things that everyone else does. Except over the course of a 25-year career, you're picking up body parts, dead babies, having to tell moms that their kids ain't coming home anymore, seeing the senseless, tragic, violent crime, and after a while. Sometimes right away.
Your brain gets used to it.
You become dead.
Yeah.
And you don't, it's a slow process most of the time. Sometimes it affects some people right away. But
And the family members, too.
the burden, I'll use me as an example. The burden that my wife carried of me over the years going through that, wives of law enforcement, wives of our soldiers, I should say now, significant, partners of.
Yeah, you're right. Because your husbands and all different families.
They're left with more questions and more anxiety sometimes because they don't know how,
and they don't get answers because of the easiest for them thing to do as the.
You don't want to talk about
they
it.
don't want to talk about it.
And as me, as a young child, with my father in the police department for God knows how many years, he would never bring work home, and I would always, what'd you do, and this and blah blah blah. He would never tell me anything.
Yeah.
I mean, the shit
you don't want to pass the burden on to your kids.
No. Well, they said that for years now. Especially with these World War II vets, could come in, not because it was that World War II is a higher bar. It was just a mass of people that served. 19 million people served in the armed forces during World War II. So many guys were in combat, and females even, because of the auxiliaries that were out there as nurses and stuff that got caught and that stuff and got bombed and all that stuff.
They had to deal with it firsthand and don't want to pass it on to anyone as a second hand.
And they were told not to.
Yeah.
A lot of times. And there's still to this day, there's a stigma on seeking help. And it extends into not just, I guess, the homeless situation with the vets is huge.
That's the biggest.
But also the big thing changeover was in the 1980s when they closed a lot of the mental institutions.
Right.
And they changed the laws.
You can thank Florida. We led the way on that.
Well,
no.
This state led the way.
No, Florida was. I can understand that.
Listen,
but it was a national movement. It was a national movement.
We pay a heavy price to this day for having done that. After World War II, you ever look at what the rates of suicide and alcoholism were?
No.
They skyrocketed. There were no outlets for these guys. None. And the attitude on my police department when you experience something of trauma, this is what you were told. Hey, man, it's the job. Suck it up. Mm-hmm. There was a cultural resistance.
No, with the guys that can, there's some guys that, and girls and women that thrive on some of the stuff that goes on. That's what they went in for. Few. They went in for the brutality and the violence, and a few. The rest of them, they're standing by, they're experiencing it, and they're not allowed to react to it, and they're not allowed to seek help without feeling as if they're less than everyone else.
So you become a person who, quote, can't be trusted because he went to a psychiatrist or a psychologist.
Yeah.
You're a weak link. You're weak. And now some of those, like the military, has gotten away from that. So the military is very proactive now when guys come back from theater. They interface them with professional help.
It's a large enough movement with hundreds of thousands of guys where they can able to institutionally change the outlook of something like that.
And it's so healthy, and I'm so glad they're doing that. My wish and my hope is that across the board, law enforcement adopts the same things and makes them mandatory. Fire departments, believe it or not, are doing a much better job at addressing mental health issues than police departments.
I think it's the nature of the fire department. If you think about it, they're very supportive because the crews stay tighter.
Very.
Because they're in their house, they're eating together.
Yes.
They're bedding in the same area. They're getting up. They cook together, doing all the stuff. They go out on their
brotherhood.
Yeah.
And I think it in and of itself, it's a support mechanism. Yeah. You don't get that so much in law enforcement. Law enforcement has been traditionally resistant to it. I think if we see the results of changing attitudes in law enforcement and the lack of address of mental health issues, and we're going to continue to pay that price until law enforcement departments nationwide address mental health. And we see it. If you see it on the streets with veterans, why wouldn't you see it with cops on the street who have to see horrible things over the course of a career? Everyone's.
I told you that I had the theory about it because police officers have to provide for themselves. There's not housing for them. There's not these things down here. Think of it. They have to fend for themselves. So the mental illness is still there, maybe, but it's not a companion with the ability of coping mechanisms of being able to figure out how to meander through mental health, getting a job, maintaining your insurance, maintaining your residence, maintaining your personal appearance, setting your personal responsibilities.
I disagree completely.
But this is what
because I think it encroaches and eventually deteriorates everything that you just said slowly.
What?
In law enforcement, you will have problems. You'll have problems paying your bills. You'll have problems identifying priorities. You'll have problems identifying appropriate behaviors.
But that doesn't just.
No, it doesn't happen overnight. It
But that happens
over
when
the
you're
course of time.
No, but
it
what
happens.
I'm saying, it's not better or worse. The stress is the same. The stresses are the same, and they're continuous in law enforcement. And in the military, it's high intensity, and then nothing. High intensity, then nothing. But in between all those things, those day-to-day things are being taken care of.
Right.
And then the day of separation, nothing.
This is what I was going to
The
try.
day is separate.
I'm
That's
trying
right.
to get
That's
at.
all the difference. And now there's no you guys are just as intense on that stuff, but it's steady with you guys. You get it, and then you do get it's steady the whole time. You're always on watch, and then you get to jump. I'm sorry, Jenna.
70% of homeless veterans were asked, "Why are you homeless?" And 100% of them were asked that question, and then 70% of them replied with, "It's easier."
Which is an
It's
indication that
easier.
Good.
They've given up.
they've given up.
Yeah.
It's easier for them to be homeless and have less responsibilities and worry about staying warm and worry about where your next meal comes from instead of living a normal civilized life and paying your mortgage. And,
There you go.
And it's easier. Like, that's horrible to hear because it's easier for them.
Well, they've been through such horrible situations
Right.
that they can go and say, "Well, living in this tent out
Right.
here is nothing
It's
compared to
way easier
than that
right.
thing before
That
and
was
this
sucky,
thing
and this
that
thing.
you're talking
Right,
about
but now you're coming back and you're telling me that I can't live in a tent anymore and that I can't, I have to pay for my car insurance or I'm going to get arrested.
Yeah, they can do whatever they want.
Right. So they all said, most of them said, it's easier to be homeless.
Yeah, I got in an argument with a guy. He was
worked-
throwing out, there was a vet coming down with his tricycle, big adult tricycle with the trailer. And that's what he was doing. Coming in, doing that stuff and talking. I said, "Well, I understand." And I said, "Well, no, I obviously I don't." But what are you gonna do?
you know
what?
what? Merry Christmas to all of them.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. And we do have to have everyone. And with the mental health, the big shame is that the military did move on with the thing and starting to realize it. And it was people like the guy that used to march up and down Route 1 with it, talking about the suicides and all that stuff, barefoot guy.
Yeah.
But they don't do that for our emergency responders,
Right.
especially the police.
So a message to anyone listening who might be undergoing some stress,
Yeah.
right? So using me as an example, I was your typical cop. I had a very high profile in my department going after really bad people.
Yep.
And when it came time to recognize that things weren't working out and I couldn't make things work out, circumstances drove me in the one area that I had resisted my entire life, and that was going to seek a counselor.
Right.
It was the most amazing experience I've ever had, and such a positive experience. I went and saw a few psychologists first, which I would suggest anyone does because you have to find one that fits.
And there is no stigma to it anymore.
No, there's not.
There is no stigma
There's
to it
less of
anymore.
a stigma.
Yeah.
Well, culturally, there may be in certain departments,
Yeah,
in certain areas,
Scientologists
but
and shit
overall,
like
that.
overall, there's not. Yeah, I agree. It's much
Right.
less.
No, well, I mean, obviously a small police department, like in some areas, and then you got your just
You're
your
having a
cliques,
hard-
cliques of people.
But if you're having a hard time,
Yeah.
there is no shame in asking for help.
No, well,
No,
what they
never.
what
And you
they
would be
should
completely
realize,
supported.
is that there are a lot of people out there that realize it's a legitimate. That's your concern. That's very important. I went there for much less. I started doing it for marriage counseling, and then anxiety. So it's Christmas now. We can talk about this
Yes.
now. It's really important. Probably the best gift you can give yourself is the self-care.
Take care of yourself.
Self-care.
Yep.
Clearly.
Absolutely.
And then you go there, and it's a very depressing time for some people. But if you can reach out to get help, you're definitely. I mean, if you're
taking care
rejected
of
for
yourself.
trying to get help, it could be examine what kind of help you're asking for. Some people are under the false understanding that the help they need is help with money. You could be addicted, and you're trying to seek. You don't realize you got to get money because you need to feed that addiction, and you think people are rejecting you because of you. They're not rejecting you; they're rejecting your addiction. Okay, if you have anxieties, you have a legitimate. When I say legitimate, it's sometimes you're rejected. If you're rejected because of the thing you're asking for. It's help.
It's just
Real
what I
help
was
you
gonna
want
say.
to improve.
There
To
was
be
a-
healthier. If sometimes you're rejected because you're asking for things that are going to make you less healthy. What do you think?
But unfortunately, like Papa said, is the sad part is job society with police officers and whatnot. They say, all right, well, it's part of the job. So you go home rather than seeing a psychiatrist, and what do? You go home and you drink.
Who says it's part of the job?
Well, that's what they.
The police officers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean the people don't say. I mean, I would go and say it's not part of the job. You're part of your job is
rather
to
than
take care of
offering
yourself.
help and X,
Yeah.
Y, and Z, they just say, "Hey, it's part of the job." So what
Right.
do? You go home, you have a couple drinks, and and before you know it, that's your constant.
But I've seen people, and I've been in the 12-step programs and stuff, where people ask for help, and sometimes when they're asking for help, it's veiled
What they're really asking for.
what they're really asking for,
Right.
and you can delude yourself. It's like when you have a relationship break off, and you need help. Well, the relationship may break off because you're not good together, and you were arguing, and you could be bad for that other person, and you ask for help, and that help could be bring that person back to me. No. It's not. Do you know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
that there's
No, I
help.
do.
There's help for the legitimate help that you need for PTSD, for anxiety, for things that you need to be addressed. But when you're asking for something that isn't, so like the guy out in front of the Walmart or Walgreens asking for money so he can go next store and get the alcohol, right? The guy asks for
Right.
money so you take that money and go in there. And some people may massage your guilt by giving them money. But if you really want to do it, give them a blanket, give them some food, eat something and stuff like that. Okay, yeah, they may take the extra money now and buy the alcohol and stuff like that. But it's anxiety, it's PTSD, it's all these things that are underlying all those problems, not the ones on the surface.
When I sought assistance, I had made up my mind that I could not resolve anything, and I had no more skill set left because I couldn't find any direction to resolve anything.
Yeah.
So I made up my mind that I'm going to place myself in this professional's hands, and you lay prostrate, you just empty everything out. You're not going to be judged, but the more honest and truthful you are, the more those conversations tend to lead you to enlightenments that show, here's a path I could take. And you
all
get
positive
armed
words.
to take control back. You can't have any predispositions going into seeking help. If only I can just get this addressed. No, it's the whole body, it's the whole mind. And to do that, you have to just open yourself up and expose everything, and you have to be in a place in your life, generally the lowest point possible,
Yes.
to come to that place. You don't have to be at the lowest point possible. You can just make up your mind to do that, but it's generally a little harder because you have the conversations in your head telling you always, no, don't do that, play it safe, or hide over here, or hide over there. When you're done hiding, if you're tired of pain,
Yeah.
and the self-doubt and things just go empty yourself out,
Start over.
and just ride that experience. I'll guarantee you it'll be one of the most beneficial things you ever did for yourself.
And as a young person, I'm not too far in, my father being in police department and all that kind of stuff. I feel like the people that need help, they don't have the resources to search out like they used to. I mean, pen pals and, just average people to just say, hey, I don't want somebody to judge me on this, or a psychiatrist to examine me, but I want somebody to just vent to.
That's the 12-step or support groups.
But
where you going
there's
in
not
bed.
many of those people out there anymore. That rather than, oh, well, you need help, we're going to send you to this doctor or this doctor. What about somebody to just sit down and shoot the shit with and talk to?
Well, there's online forums for that and stuff like that.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're in certain situations, you might not have access to that. But
no, yeah,
it's you know what? It's funny is because I listen to everything that's positive. I really focus on positive words and not negative words. And if you heard what Papa was saying, it was, be honest with yourself. Be truthful with yourself. You are going to feel enlightened. These are very positive things that you can say. I don't like the phrase "no problem," right?
Yeah.
I despise it because it's two negative words. I always say my pleasure. It's been my pleasure. You're owning it, and it's been your pleasure to help someone. But don't say "no problem." That's negative. So if you're going to talk about negative things in your life, or how things have impacted you, or how you feel about reaching out about your mental health situation, remember that it's not negative. It's all positive.
One negative is negative. Two negatives is positive.
No, it's not. That's only in math.
I mean,
it's only in math.
In math
No problem does not mean that it's positive. It's still two negative words.
I did not say that.
I know, just saying. But that's what I'm saying. It's all positive. So
well, I mean, with the support groups and things like that, being able it's funny you said it because we mentioned Scientologists going clear. The principle was no, that's not the same thing. That going clear is just emptying out, unbury your soul, doing this thing. Confession, the idea that confession came about years ago, and we are in the season, the Christmas season. But the one good thing with theology was the thing about confession, being able to unburden your soul or your mind. It's not actually unburdening your mind. I did this, and it wasn't until they codified it why masturbating's bad and all these things are bad, and you have to report it. But you really said, I stole, I coveted, I hurt somebody.
Or that I went blind because I masturbated too much.
Well, if you masturbate your eyeballs, maybe, but those unburdening things, that has been part of the religious experience, the spiritual experience, and it probably was because it actually worked. It actually worked they've done it for thousands of years, where you meditation with Buddhists and all these things was allowing those things and being able to accept those things in your lives and be able to separate the acts from your person. The things you did, the things you saw, the things you were part of, and to be able to say, this is what happened, this is what I saw, this is what I did, but this is not me. And I recognize that now. That part is being able to talk to a psychologist, psychiatrist, without. When I spoke from the experience of working in the 12-step thing, and there's people that go in there that just want to be better, and then there's other people that say, a small group, I want attention.
Yeah.
Feel sorry for me.
Right.
Or I'm here because
But
I
the
have
people
to be.
that really think, and the people that think their primary goal is I want to be better. I want to feel better. I want to unburden myself. I want to do these things, and I want to be more present for the people around me. I want to be do
all
things
positive
and feel
things.
all positive things. those people really do well. And that is that it's kind of like the yes thing. Yes. Yes, I'm ready for this. Yes, I'm ready to tell you.
Yes, man, yes, man.
Yes, that's it. Yes works.
None
It
of
does.
what Tyler had mentioned about essentially peer groups and peer group support. That would be the follow-up. So in a religion, you have, let's say, confession, the example you used. And upon leaving confession...
You get punished.
No, you don't get punished.
You get absolved.
You get absolved.
Yes,
You get
but
absolved.
you do your punishment first.
No. Originally,
they don't say you're absolved, leave.
Originally, the prayers were meditative exercise, a meditative exercise.
Right. So go do the Hail Mary 17 times, and then you are absolved.
Well,
It was to put you in a place of meditation and reflection.
I would no. They would say, reflect on what you said, reflect on what you want to be like, and while you're doing it, say 5 Hail Marys, 3 Our Fathers, and stuff like that. While you're doing it, and experience the forgiveness of God. And that, if you think believing it or not believing it, whether it's real or not, is a beautiful thing. Reflect on those things. That's meditation.
Right.
But prayer initially was just meditation.
And upon leaving that, you re-enter the fold, accepted and loved. What Tyler brought up about peer groups, it's the same thing. You have to unburden yourself and to seek an inner peace. You have to then surround yourself by people who truly support you.
Yeah.
And without that, you're incomplete.
And understand you.
Well, you don't
Yes.
truly understand you. I think acceptance is key. Understanding, you can never truly understand people's motivations because you don't know what goes into their making.
Well, of course not. But if you're in a peer group dealing with a
Because
similar
when I say something, I can say something.
Those people have probably had some similar
but I
life
can say something that
experiences.
apparently is insensitive because I don't really understand. I don't understand.
And again, yes, if you have somebody that truly understands what they went through or did themselves or anything like that, but even put all of that aside, just somebody to talk to.
And accept
And
them, right?
that's what I'm
Yes.
thinking of is,
Well, it's a form of understanding.
nowadays,
But I think your word is actually better. It's an
No,
acceptance.
I'm not trying to say
No.
that.
It is. It works better.
Accepting goes like this.
It's a
Because
better word.
Accepting someone is just the thing. I'm ready.
but whether I know, 100% what these people went through in firsthand, it's not saying that I wouldn't sit down and talk to them, chit chat, give them somebody to talk to. I'd be more than happy to do that. Whether I understand what they actually went through or not, but just to have somebody to talk to and possibly open up to and give them a little bit of light, with the holiday season, that would be an amazing thing to be able to do for 1 or 2, 3, 4 people.
That probably would be the greatest gift you could ever give somebody like that. There's people there. The hardest burden is to become aware of your past wrongdoings and become aware how they hurt someone. It's a horrible thing, but the beauty of it is the act of becoming aware, and then being able to either ask for attempt to make amends, not worrying about whether you're going to be given forgiveness, but forgiving some people for grievances is an act of something for yourself, not for them.
I think the true fact is to not be judged by what happened, to have somebody to talk to, open up, and not be judged by what you're saying or what you've been through.
If they're willing to say it as a means of recognition for what they did, if it's an intrinsically horrible thing, and they're willing to admit it and ask for
A friend.
an understanding.
Acceptance.
I don't know. See,
whether it's drugs or previous battle
acceptance,
or
acceptance
PTSD,
maybe
it's just somebody to sit there and talk to and listen to.
Necessarily for everything.
I think we're thinking too hard about this.
Yeah.
The first thing is to yes, Hoagie.
Hoagie says hi. The first thing is you need to get a dog.
Tommy, probably.
Yep. The most important thing is to come to a
10 o'clock.
realization
Is it 10 o'clock?
Oh, yep.
you want some
No,
help.
it's 8 o'clock.
And you seek that assistance. And here's the great thing about people. There will be people that show up and offer that hand down and love you. Not everyone. You don't need everyone. You might only have one. My partner was one, and a few others. It was just a few. And that gave me the hope, all the hope I needed.
Closer.
And it was the finishing act of my being able to find my happiness and my freedom. Were those people who stepped forward. I didn't ask them to. I didn't seek them out. They sought me out. And I think we all have those people there, even if we don't know they exist. They're there. And we just have to trust that they'll come forward. That's all.
And
Speaking of mental patients.
And if you need help, ask for it.
Yeah. Speaking of mental patients.
See what happens when
Speaking of
Tommy
mental
shows
patients,
up.
Tommy shows
10
up.
o'clock Tommy just showed up.
We were
2
just
hours
wrapping
early.
up. We're actually wrapping up
a
an
live.
hour and a half live show.
And, as a young person, again,
You're not that young.
I am. But
You're not that young.
if somebody
man.
wants...
You can't pull that card forever, buddy.
Right?
If somebody wants somebody to talk to, I wouldn't be opposed. If there's somebody listening
You
that...
just said 2 negative words. Don't say I wouldn't be opposed. I would be more than willing.
I'd be more than grateful.
I'd say that
to
wouldn't be
chat with
opposed.
somebody.
Is a positive.
You
No,
know, if
that's too
somebody
negative.
that's listening is
Stop it.
just listening to this
If
to
you said
get
2
by
positives,
or
it's negative.
have a little
it's not.
positive in their life
is
and
not
wants
math,
to chat
Jim.
or know somebody that does,
1984 double plus good.
I'd be more than willing to.
I'm sorry. Get it?
Jim.
You got it right. Hey, listen, don't debate if
I'm
you're not
not
ready to get in the water.
I'm not debating
Get in
with
the
you.
water. Double plus good. No, it's a wonderful thing. You know what? At the end, that's a hard thing to talk about, and you have to talk about it during Christmas because a lot of people go through things.
Yeah, but you know
that are
what?
difficult during
To
Christmas.
Honestly, I
everyone-
think it's the best time to bring it
That
up.
is the best time to
everyone
think about this stuff and to think
have
that
a great
everyone is worthy of acceptance and love. Oh, yes.
Absolutely. And have a great Christmas.
No, I wasn't timing you off. I was just saying I wanted to get those 2 things in. And
Oh, did you just say 2 positive words? Acceptance and love?
Yes.
In the
That's
same
negative.
sentence? Oh, well, then I guess it's all negative. Well, just fuck all ya.
No, wait. It's a
Knock, knock.
conjunctive. Go fuck yourself.
There you go.
Like
I
work,
think out
man.
of all of us, if there's somebody out there or a family member or a loved one or just somebody you met passing by that needs somebody to talk to or a little bit of hope and love, I don't think any of us would be opposed to
Hey, listen, if
giving
there's
an email or
a
anything
young
like that.
young stripper out there that's
Right.
not feeling good about herself,
I mean, if you're a concubine.
Our Christmas party's coming up.
I'll give you Tommy's email address. 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock Tommy at
gmail.
gmail.com.
Counseling for concubines.
I'm not a
Counseling
mongoloid.
for concubines.
1-800 reach around.
And back to our normal happy self.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes. And no, yes, for it wasn't melancholy. You know what? You have to think these things with happiness or sadness, and there's reflection. If you're going to be open to the world and aware of these things, if you're a listener to this audience, you're going to be aware of the good and the bad, and there's things that can't be turned away from.
And if you're driving in your car and you're listening to this right now and you're wiping the tears from your face, we'll just remind you that don't worry, we're still funny.
Yep. We still have butt plugs.
We
and,
still have butt
anal
plugs.
beads.
We still
You
have.
want that?
We have penis cookies.
We have
Yeah, we got
penis
cock
cookies.
cakes.
We have cock cakes.
Oh, you
Glazed
got
cock cakes.
penis ice cubes?
I do have
we got penis ice cubes.
Can I get a drink with a
They're
penis?
a
can
little
absolutely
small,
get you-
but
No,
they're-
I have big ones. I got big dicks.
I got big ones.
Yeah. I'm going to let you guys sign off while I go get Jim a penis.
Merry
a
Christmas,
penis colada.
happy
A
penis
holidays,
colada.
whatever
No,
you're
I'm a
celebrating.
penis and
Pipi
vodka.
colada. Oh, I got it.
Okay.
By
Penis
somebody.
colada.
Hey, listen, we may do another Christmas show where it's straight up Christmas. Maybe
Straight up Christmas. I got to start liking girls now? What?
straight up. No, straight up. No, I didn't say straight.
Oh.
Straight up. Straight up means truthful. Straight. I don't mean to say.
I mean, we weren't truthful this one.
Hey, listen.
What?
I have a great following of the what is the correct way of calling it? The alternate lifestyle thing? Because I had a buddy from Orlando who stopped in with his husband. He came in, and he just absolutely loves the place, Michael. The sad thing is, he says, he was asking about a podcast. Well, I haven't been able. I'm saying, what do you mean? You remember me? You haven't been able to listen to the podcast again, and stuff like that. And I said, well, I'm going to mention Michael. He's here. He's a medical device salesperson. Sells imaging equipment to the hospitals and does the training and all that stuff. Really high end stuff. Great guy. He was the guy I had to run across the street from. Do you ever hear that story?
No.
We were drinking. We're not. They were drinking a lot. He was drinking a lot all night. And then I went to the bathroom and I came out and Kathy said, Michael left. And I was, oh, okay. You're going to let him go across the street now to go to Hampton? I said, not after you said that. You know, he was, okay, take a picture of the penis.
There's the cock
take a
eyes.
picture.
Oh, my God.
Get a picture
Cock's
of
as
that.
big as
Guys.
the glass. Oh, my
Got a
God.
bunch
what's
of cock
the-
in a cup.
It's not impressive. I'm not impressed at all.
Hey,
the-
drink
yeah.
out of your cock and balls.
Yeah. So after that, I grabbed his hand and we ran across the street together. I'm not afraid, man.
Oh, were you skipping?
I couldn't handle. First of all, I liked the guy.
Well, you didn't
Second
want
of
him to get
all,
hurt.
even if I didn't like the guy, I wouldn't want him to be hurt. You know, that's the deal with me. But I have a
Guys,
great
again, once
following like
again,
that, and they remember that.
enjoy
Especially
your
coming to Key
holidays.
Largo and stuff like that.
Be happy.
Yeah. But
No.
that's it. Don't worry. Be happy.
No. Yeah.
Yep, have a. You got to get the phallus that she's. We got a drink with a penis ice cube.
I still feel like there is some hope in our society.
Yeah. Well, there's always hope. Okay, we're signing off. Thank you, everyone. Say thank you, everyone.
We will.
Thank you, everyone.
We're gonna probably.
We have another live before the new year.
I'll try. See, are you off like the day before during the day?
Yeah.
During the day?
I'm off on the
25th.
30th. New Year's.
No, that's New Year's.
Oh.
We'll definitely do a New Year's show.
Yeah, no,
I mean,
yeah.
how about Christmas? What's it looking like on Christmas Eve?
I am working the 23rd, 24th.
I'm working the 23rd.
I'm working the 24th.
24th, I could come
Half
over.
a day.
gone-
I'm half a day. I'm
I'm
off
gone
at 2.
the 24th.
2? Maybe
at
we
2.
do a 2 o'clock show.
We can do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we're not cooking
I won't
2
be
until the
o'clock
next
show.
day.
We're going to do a 2 o'clock show on the 23rd.
24th.
Maybe
24th.
Monkey Boy can make it.
I
Maybe
won't be here on the 24th, so
AKA 10 o'clock time.
Yeah, Monkey Boy. Laugh while you can, Monkey Boy. Okay, we're signing off.
All right. Good night,
night,
everyone.
everybody.
Merry
Everyone.
Christmas.
Music.